this is the end of this series of rolling live streams. I am headed back to Shofar Mountain after having visited another set of Hebrews, and it's still unleavened bread.
Continue on US 166 East for 32 miles.
I will do that. So, I brought some matzah with me. I had it in a bag. It's somewhere back there. But these Hebrews are on the same schedule, and so they were making matzah every day, having cinnamon sugar matzah for breakfast. And being a homeschool family with capable children, the children were actually baking pans of matzah for breakfast and making the dough and the cinnamon sugar mix themselves, because they are used to cooking, baking, and so that was kind of a fun, just an admiration for the fact that the children could cook unleavened bread. Very simple recipe: dough, cinnamon sugar on it. Shalom. Hang on, y'all. I can't read your names right now. 2 channel supporters. None of your biz? No. Hang on. Maine, Silver Maine Biz, and Trying and Doing. Shalom, ladies. Good morning. So that was really cool. Also, this particular couple has a sign-in book. When you visit them, they have people sign in. And because I had visited them before, I got to read back through some of the entries we made. And there's a third one, Silver Maine Biz, right? Yeah. So over the years, we have celebrated a couple of different holidays with them, and then to read back over what we wrote was really a lot of fun for me. Texas T, good morning. That's another channel supporter. 4 of you guys, all lined up, almost like you planned it or something. When you come into the chat, your names are in light green, and it stands out because you have a little meme thing next to your name. So that's how I can tell that you support the channel, and that's why you get the call outs. So I only stayed a short while. I overnighted with one, and then a couple, and then overnighted with another couple. And we went out to dinner last night, and on the way, we were stopped to get gas at a gas station, and in drives this minivan with red tape on their rear window. On the right-hand side, Yud Hey Vav Hey, and on the left-hand side, the Paleo Hebrew, Yud Hey Vav Hey. And I think even something across the bottom of the window, it might have said unleavened bread. So I looked at the person in the car with me, and I said, we gotta go check this out. And then they talked. We were 2 cars of people. So we talked to the driver of the other car, and we both pulled around to where that little minivan had parked, and come to find out, they were a Hebrew family traveling from their Passover celebration, that they had gone to another state, and they were on the way back to their home state, and they were eating unleavened bread, had matzah with them, and we'd not met before, and they had heard of us, of PJ's channel and things, and then they mentioned several different people they knew, and we finally found a connection where someone in our party knew someone that the people in the minivan knew, and they suggested a couple of fellowship, channels to watch. And so that was a really nice blessing in the middle of the holiday, in the middle of unleavened bread, to meet a brand new set of Hebrews around the same age, on fire for the Lord, in the walk, total agreement on just, we're all tribe, we're all family. You and your area are congregating with, whoever's near you, and you are watching online, whoever is feeding you the word, and in total agreement with the word is the most important thing, that traditions, you don't have to follow traditions, that if you have a conviction, like to be head covered or whatever, you can respect that, but to just have the basic Torah and Jesus, that was enough. Like their tribe, their family, we were 100% in support of other Hebrews traveling like me. Like we're sojourners right now because we're not at our home base, and so that was a really nice spiritual punctuation mark to the whole trip I'm on and the whole holiday season we are in. Okay, so is that who's on there? Yep, Palmetto Paratroopers on there. There's one of my moderators. Good morning, Shalom. And so I kind of had prayed before I left the high desert area that if the Father would, kind of punctuate, would let me run into other Hebrews. Like I'm open to that during this trip because I have to be careful with my security. I don't want to be approached by people I don't know. I'm not very friendly in this mode, but I said, if there's someone you want us to meet, I had prayed that back then, just that kind of prayer when you've got 5 minutes, and then, concentrating on traveling and where I'm going in the GPS and the gasoline level in the car and having whatever, drink I want to have. This is a caffeinated drink with some fruit juice and some aloe drink in it. And so, voila, you make yourself open to it, the Father responds. And I really do think that's part of what that was, where it was for those people to know while they're traveling that they may run into other sojourners who are like, oh yeah, we could hang out if we needed to. We could all go camp together, or if they didn't have matzah, we had some matzah we could share, that kind of thing. So that was really, really fun. And then I'm trying to think, there was one other thing today, can't remember. Oh, I went ahead and bought one of those blow-up mattresses because the people that I stayed with, they did have like a fold-out couch thing, and I could have slept on that, but this way, I look at it as alternative bedding, right? That now we can have this alternative bedding at our cottage should we need it. And so I went ahead and got one of those blow-up mattresses. And I'd already slept on one on this trip, but I'm comfortable. I sleep okay on them. It's not a Sealy Posturepedic or anything like that, but they're decent sleeping arrangement. And you just never know. You may end up needing it for whatever reason. Maybe I'll travel again and go somewhere where they don't have an extra guest bed or something. So, excuse me. Whew. So that was pretty cool. I enjoyed it. There's Christy B. Welcome to the live stream. That is so cool. Haven't met like-minded people yet. Well, sometimes the prayer to let the Lord know that you're open to it, and as long as He can tell that you really are, He's the one who brings them. It really has nothing to do with me, except me trying to communicate with Him that I would be open to that if it happens. You know what I mean? Like, it's not me, it's the Father. But letting the Father know the mindset I've got to where, okay, I would be willing to talk to some people. Because a lot of times I'm not. A lot of times I'm on my guard. I'm an older woman. I won't say, I won't get into all the really details about all that because I don't like to speak stuff into existence. But, I'm not small. It's not like I'm paranoid. It's just that you have to be aware. You just be aware. You look around, head on a swivel kind of thing. And that's me. That's my normal way. But in that circumstance, we were in vehicle. So you're totally safe in your vehicle. You know, if someone comes up to you and threatens you, you just stomp the gas and, you know, you get out of there quick. So I was not feeling defensive and, you know, kind of as security minded as I would have been, like walking around in some sort of public area with a lot of people around me. And I think that was a key to how it all unfolded. It wasn't threatening to us. It wasn't threatening to them. They were near their vehicle. They could have just hopped in there and left if they felt threatened. There's a Greek Homestead. Hello, Greek Homestead. Post photographs on Instagram. And it's a Torah believer and a homeschooler in Greece. And so it's probably, you know, what time is it? 9 o'clock in the morning. It's probably evening there right now. And there's Farm Ma. Farm Ma is the same as Sophie Akers. She's in Canada. Oh, and that reminded me of something else I wanted to talk about. Yes, I do. I need to let Abba know that I'm ready. Yeah. I think that is, at least that's part of my process. But I think it was the short. I uploaded a short, an ASMR short of the high desert of me just walking, my feet walking, because there's noises there, and then there's a cactus at the end of that little video. I had 1.2% people watching it from Uzbekistan, y'all. I mean, that is way the heck on the other side of the planet. And then I had like a 0.8% of someone in Indonesia, Selamat Pagi Indonesians. Kami minti diri dulu, kami nak pulang. If you're from Indonesia. Anyway, yeah, I had someone in Indonesia watch that ASMR video, which I think is fascinating. And I'd be surprised. Well, the Indonesians for sure wouldn't understand English. I don't know if the Uzbeks would or not, but I think that's pretty interesting. So yeah, international. No, we don't homeschool. That would be illegal. That's right. No, they don't. Yeah, they don't homeschool. Heading back to coastal PNW for a while. Family issues. Hang on. I'm going to try to read your name because the green doesn't show up really good. Trying and do it. Well, I hope your family issues play out peacefully and successfully. The analytics can be fooled by VPNs too. So you're saying it could have been someone else bouncing off a server in Uzbekistan or Indonesia? So, I'm using you guys again for part of my drive. Okay, Palmetto, that's a good point. Thank you for adding that in there. I'm using you again on my drive to help me not get bored. We are, let's see, tomorrow, I think PJ said that tomorrow is the end of unleavened bread. Is that right, or am I wrong on that? I think it might be the end of unleavened bread. We're going to have a relaxed Shabbat because we are going to get together at the beginning of Shabbat. And so, correct, everyone's saying correct about that. Yeah, so we're going to end it tomorrow, and then because we'll end it over dusk, meeting together over dusk. That will count as the Shabbat too, and so I will be able to sleep in on Shabbat and not have to get prepared for like a gathering. And that'll be a nice day of rest for me. And I will have during the day tomorrow to figure out some sort of potluck dish to share at the end of unleavened bread. Right, I gotta pass these guys. And it is a dotted yellow line, so I am being totally legal. And here we go. They're going really, really slow. It's a dump truck and some sort of other farm implement or something. High Holy Day. Exactly. There's Colleen Rodimer. She came in on the very first one, and then I had to shut it down. I forget why, and restart. Colleen, you're the Colleen in Texas, correct? And let's see, today is what, Thursday? So I will turn in the rental and get back to, it won't be culture shock because it's my culture, but I've been away from my culture now for almost a month. That's not true. 3 weeks. So my garden beds, the animals, the routine of feeding and watering, and I'll have to weed in my garden beds for sure, and then plant in that new bed that PJ put together for me. And that's not what I've been doing the last 3 weeks. I've been in places with electricity and lighting and, a washer and a dryer and dishwashers and all sorts of mod cons. So it will take me a couple of days to get back into the rhythm, of the agricultural life, but then it will also be super relaxing for me to just be out on the property, to walk along, under the trees and in the grass, and ticks and chiggers are probably going to be out, and, just all of that. PJ is excited I'm getting home. He's going to get help. That's going to be really good for him. He's been handling it all by himself. And there'll be new things. The fence that we were having put in is now done, according to some people I talked to. So that'll be fun for me to go see it and to drive my Terex and then continue with whatever projects I've got going on, which I've kind of, let slip in my mind because I had other things to focus on. So much less stress. I don't like leaving home nowadays. I'm transplanting tomatoes and peppers right now. Yeah, if you had started your plants in February like you were supposed to, I don't mean you personally, I mean anyone, now would be the time to transplant them outside. And I intend to plant by seed the warm weather plants like tomatoes and cucumbers. And there are people in our tribe who probably have extra starts of tomatoes, and so I will volunteer as tribute to take some of those off of their hands and plant them. And that was 5 of the plants I had last year with tomatoes that just grew really well in the new land that we bought. And one of them was the weirdest looking. I've never seen a tomato in the shape. It looked like the shape of a little gourd. They grew so well. That's how I canned or froze any tomatoes last year, was those plants specifically. They did just excellent. Because the soil is great quality up there. Tomatoes, onions, garlic, potatoes. I'm hoping I'll see some potatoes. I planted some before I left, but my chickens may have dug them all up. Collard greens, yeah. I had bought and transplanted a couple of collard greens. I don't know if they're still alive. Just what I can think of. That's already in the ground. Awesome. Great job, Colleen. trying to do it. Yeah. I mean, you have to plant something in order to get something out of it. If you just think about the garden stuff and don't plant anything, you're never going to get anything out of it. Let's see what else. Try to catch up on some comments. Scroll. So much less stress. Oh yeah, I don't like leaving home right now. Okay. Need more canning materials for a harvest. Exactly right. You need to be ready for it. If you plant, you need to be ready for the stuff that comes out of it. You're bound to have some sort of something do well in a gardening year. Some year the bugs are worse, some year the weather's different, but if you plant a lot, you're going to have some increase, and you want to be ready with supplies to take care of it. Whether you dehydrate it, you freeze dry it, you put it in the freezer, you can it. No matter what you do with it, you should have supplies. And all of those things are pretty easy. I love dehydrating stuff. So easy. Okay. Whoa! All over again. I have to get gas. I probably should have gassed up before I left the area. That's all right. I will pass other gas stations. Colleen says she's ready. I'll tell you what I'm ready for. I wait in great anticipation to have those fresh tomatoes and eat them on sandwiches, and to make caprese salad, which is just mozzarella cheese, the fresh tomatoes, some olive oil, and some basil. And then if you want, you can make a balsamic vinegar and honey reduction. That is really good to pour on top of it. I am that, and making fresh pesto with basil. That I love. I very rarely buy store-bought tomatoes in the year between growing them in the garden in the summer and the next year. It's a very rare that I will buy the tomatoes are in the store that are grown in a greenhouse. I'm growing plants in a greenhouse. So it's not that. It's just that the greenhouse tomatoes flavor is not the same. And I do love tomatoes. Okay, let's see. I'm turning 6 miles. Okay. Take some drink. Low caffeinated beverage. I hope we have a garden this year. It's been 3 years without a garden, and I want to eat some real tomatoes. Exactly. And Creek Homestead grew a good garden. The last garden she tried, she had plants grow and produce fruit and stuff. So I hope you get to do it too. We used to make whole batches in the dehydrator, but the kids would eat it before it made it to the pantry shelf. Another thing I'd love to have with fresh tomatoes are bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwiches with the turkey bacon or the beef bacon. There's just nothing like the taste of those flavors together on like a toasted bread and mayonnaise. I like mayonnaise. Other people like Miracle Whip. Either one is fine. But man, just the salty and the crunchy lettuce and the tomato burst of acidic flavor, really intense. Especially when they are still warm from the sun, right? Salt, pepper. I used to eat just tomato sandwiches when I was a kid. mayonnaise, tomato on bread. I'd be perfectly happy with that. I have unleashed the chickens to clean up the area. Oh yeah, chickens can be excellent for clearing weeds away, getting ground down to the bare soil and adding the manure into it. Those chicken tractors, that's a very accurate description. Cherry tomatoes were my treats, picked off as I was weeding. Yeah, cherry tomatoes are the bomb diggity too. I noticed in some years the only thing at the end of the season, tomato wise, would be the cherry tomatoes, and just producing and producing. Sometimes that is how I canned tomatoes as well, was a few of the bigger ones that survived the bugs and everything, but a whole slew of the little ones. And the way I can it or I freeze it is to mix them all in a blender, skin on, mix it all up, can it. It comes out kind of like a juice, and I use it like, hang on, not tomato sauce, not tomato paste, like the peeled cut tomatoes. I use it like that. I'm not one who's big on making my own taco seasoning or stuff, but if you're someone who eats a lot of tacos, or wants your spaghetti sauce already made, it would work that way, just to have all your tomatoes blended up together. Most of my berries never make it to the house because we eat them. The reason I didn't make wine last year is because my grandkids came down and finished off all the grapes that were still around. So I didn't get enough grapes to even bother. Kids' treats were so healthy, fresh from the plants. Yes, they were. Yep. Cucumbers too, man. I like the little pickling cucumbers to eat. I don't mind pickling, but I don't have good pickling recipes. My pickles don't taste great. If I get the flavoring packet that's pre-done, Mrs. Paul's or whatever it's called from Walmart, then the pickles are pretty good. But my homemade recipes, they were way too vinegary. But man, just to have those little cucumbers either on your sandwich or on your salad, they're crisp, they're slightly sweet, so good. Jody, shalom, drive safe. I'm at work. Just wanted to say hi. I cannot wait to have my own garden soon, hopefully. And if you're in if you're in an apartment or something like that, you can container garden. You can have a couple of plants in containers. Plants like strawberries and tomatoes will still bear fruit if they're in a container. You can even grow potatoes in a container. Zucchini pickled were delicious also. Fried zucchini, oh, that's a baby steak. Fried zucchini slice, yum. Zucchini bread, yum. My apple tree and grapes have already set fruit. That's something I have to check while I'm back, because I planted like 4 trees. 3 of them, I think.
In half a mile, turn right on to County Road 1300, Montgomery County Road 1300.
Okay. 3 of them I kept in containers in the greenhouse over winter. And so I planted them and bought like 2 more trees and had planted them in a new part of our property where...
Take the next right onto County Road 1300, Montgomery County Road 1300.
Where the black locust trees were growing like a forest. I went in there and cleared it all out. Cut a bunch of them down, used a tractor to...
Continue for 23 miles.
It's on a slope. It gets a lot of sun. And because it's sloped and we had sort of landscaped it at one time, it gets a decent amount of water distributed over the space. And so after cutting down the locusts, which are supposedly nitrogen fixers, and they were growing quite healthily, with the trees around them growing quite healthily, I figured if I put my apple or cherry or plum trees in there, they would enjoy the same benefit. And so I did that right before I left, and 3 blueberry bushes. So I'm going to have to go check on them, see if they survived, maybe give them water if they're still alive, mulch around them, and also check the trees that are in the original orchard. I don't know that they're going to bear fruit again. I went a little too hog nut wild on the pruning and didn't prune them at all last year because of it. And the one pear tree has so many of those water spout branches. I don't know what, I'm just gonna have to see. We ski. Marinated grilled zucchini with a steak. Oh yeah, absolutely. One of my favorite summer meals. Yes, 100%. Saw's in here? Saw? Get out of here. There he is. Safe travels. Shalom. Well, hey, Saw. Welcome to the chat. Yeah, you know me. Rolling, rolling, rolling. Keep them doggies rolling. Are you able to do some planting up there this time of year, Saw? And I can still get root plants in the ground. I know I have turnips. They're already going to seed. So I'll probably pull them and replant turnips in the same place because I really like the turnip greens. I'm trying to think of the space I have. Oh yes, and I will replant the cowpeas because they did so well. And I'll probably just use the cowpeas from the year before. I may have bought one more bag of seeds, but I've got plenty of the cowpea, like beans. I have plenty of those that I can use. They have another name. Black-eyed peas? I think these are also called black-eyed peas. And they tasted good. Buds breaking, just happening, 4 of his trees. Okay, so yeah, he's in a colder climate. So, you know, in the Ozarks, we can start stuff. I planted the spinach in February. We can start stuff pretty stinking early. And because of that, it makes me excited to get stuff in the ground. Because mid-June, July, things like the broccoli and the cauliflower and the Brussels sprouts. And it's the perfect time to get those warm weather crops in because they love that heat and that humidity. So it's kind of almost like you have 2 planting seasons. You have the February to like June and then plant again in July. Actually 3, because you can plant some of this stuff, the brassicas, in October, November, and then harvest them in early spring. That's kind of something to take advantage of. Terra Firma back in the house. Hello. How goes it? It's going pretty good. Please hit the like button. That's what Colleen Rodimer said. Let's see. Also, Saw, if you have any political things you want to add to the chat, stuff for us to keep our eye on. I know you got some international analysis experience. And I've been like totally not watching news, not aware of anything happening. I know that the tariffs have come into effect, but I don't know what the backlash is from that. I don't know what the stock market is doing. If anybody has, little updates or something, throw them out there. Got to get my watermelons in. Love eating them. Yeah, watermelons.
Continue on US 75 South for 3/4 of a mile.
3/4 of a mile. Okie dokie. I'm gonna have to stop and get gas somewhere too. Drive safe. Sure. One thing, the earthquakes are getting larger. That's right. There was some huge earthquake in Burma that affected Bangkok. That video.
In a quarter mile, turn left onto East 3rd Avenue.
That hotel in Bangkok with the pool on the like upper floor and the water sloshing and that was very dramatic footage. Saw's Patreon is awesome, said Trying and Doing. You will get your money's worth following Saw on Patreon. That man knows. He's not someone who
turn left onto East 3rd Avenue.
Who watches somebody else's video and then parrots what they say. He has on the ground experience in military matters, and he's giving you.
Continue for 3/4 of a mile.
We are having to cover our more delicate herbs and spinach and lettuce at night. Keep from the frost. Strawberries are actually starting to bounce back from winter. Strawberry is another one of those plants that puts out little baby plants at the end of the season, and then those baby plants will become mature, and then they'll put out baby plants, and you can do that whole thing for about 4 years, and then you're going to have to kind of restart. That's why people often make a whole bed of the strawberries, because they're gonna keep expanding. Terra firma. I think we should all learn to grow in hoop houses, polytunnels, because of the crazy weather and metals from spraying the sky. Thoughts? Yeah, I think anyone should try that, because you're literally making your own little greenhouse with a hoop house, and that's what my greenhouse is, and I've had it up for like 6
In a quarter
years.
mile, slight left onto Montgomery County Road 1700.
Okay, I've had it up for 6 years, and the only thing that you run into is if the quality of the plastic you're putting over top of it. So
make a slight left onto Montgomery County Road 1700.
Okay. Why is she? I've never gone this way before. I'm wondering what she's doing here. So if
continue on Montgomery County Road 1700 for 3/4 of a mile.
I think you should use old windows if you can make your hoop house strong enough to support them, because they are not going to wear down nearly as quickly as the greenhouse plastics wear down. That would be my only update, correction, addition to what I've got. The greenhouse plastic is tougher than the 4 mil plastic, but it too...
In a quarter mile, turn right onto US 166 East.
It too, especially with high wind, gets battered. And having some sort of way to go over the top of it, if you lay that on the cattle panels...
Take the next right onto US 166 East.
It would be good to have some sort of strapping or something that went over it to help keep it in place and make the wind's effect on it less. And I haven't really experimented. Right now, all we do is throw some baling twine.
Continue on US 166 East for 18 miles.
Tied to concrete blocks as a thing, but there's got to be a better way to go over the plastic to hold it down, so that the wind can't just keep causing it to do kind of a wavy, blowy thing and beat it against the cattle panel. All right, we bought a $300 Amazon hoop house, and it's holding up well. We bought one too, and the way it was situated and the way the wind blows on our property, it became a kite. It lifted up off the ground and was moved around, and some of the framing bent, and it's not a really hard metal frame. I think they're aluminum, and so I've got to figure out a way to stiffen that thing up before I try to put any plastic on it again. That poor plastic has been ripped off of it by the wind 3 times, and so we have to work on ours. If it's working for you, I love that. I absolutely love it if it's working for you, but it is not working for us. Saw and PJ have so much experience that I appreciate, and also Mrs. Saw and you, SK. Thank you all. Well, you're welcome. Gotta pay attention. I'm going past construction. These guys are working on a bridge. That one guy back there had a righteous beard down to here. Okay. Here in North Texas, we get average 30-ish miles an hour. Yeah, we have gusts up to 50, 60, 70. And when it's 50, that plastic just pew, 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 pew. It's really hard on it. Winds here are crazy at times, exactly. Many of my herbs overwintered in the ground, mine too, in the plastic greenhouse, yep, and they are looking great. So at least I can grow culinary herbs in there year round. Absolutely. Yeah, they're very herb friendly. I have rosemary. I've planted rosemary outdoors a couple of times, never survived. The ones in the greenhouse were doing great when I left. I'm going to fully expect nothing in the greenhouse to be alive, just in case PJ was too busy to go out and water regularly. And if I get home and they are alive, I'm going to be super stoked. John Doe. Welcome back, John Doe. That guy's got a Conestoga wagon in his front yard. I bet he's a Mormon. That is cool. I've been putting potatoes in the ground in random places. They all seem to have turned into plants so far. That's awesome. Now, you know, as soon as the tops start to die off, that's when you dig them up. I used to see the tops die off and think, well, they're in the ground, they'll be fine. I'll just leave them in there until I get a moment to dig them up. No. If you leave them in the ground, then things like beetles and moles will nibble on them while they're in there, and when you go to dig them up, you'll get like half a potato. So as soon as the top plant starts to die off, that's when you dig your potatoes up. And dig carefully, because if you can cut your potato right in half if you put your shovel in the wrong place and really go for it. I highly recommend this tool called a homie, H-O-M-I. I gave one to the people's house I was just at, and I also ordered one for the people I stayed with before that, and you immediately see how easy it is to dig in the ground with those things. They are amazing. So if you use hand tools, get a homie. They have them on Amazon. It's H-O-M-I. And they're like $20. Totally worth it. B-Ski. I'm looking for that tool. Wanted to get two. One for me and one. Yep, get them. Get on there. I will look that up. Do it, guys. I'm not kidding. I've been gardening a long time, and those little stayed things you buy at Walmart and whatever, terrible mechanics. You have to really crank them, whereas the homie has a bend in it, so that you just it's totally different. Just get it. Even if I catch an unclean fish, I can still feed it to my plants. Yeah, you can. You can plant it right under your corn. As a matter of fact, one thing that I did, I think it was yesterday, was clean a gar. I won't get into the details of where and when and how and all that, but I had to watch a video. There was a video on YouTube that a guy, I think he's down in Mississippi, did, about 4 minutes long. Had excellent tips on how to do it. We managed to cobble together the different implements he suggested, and it worked exactly the way he said. And we were able to get 2 long fillets off of it. Now, the scales that it had were really, it was like dragon skin, but they were scales. And so, not going to get into should you eat it or not. I did not eat it. And I made sure to wash my hands several times afterwards. But the knowledge of how to do it is what I really valued getting. Not that I probably ever will do that again, but who knows? You don't know. I don't know. And now I know how. All right. South Carolina is great, but the population is going up, and it's probably not going to stop anytime soon. South Carolina is a great place to live, and land is still affordable. So, thank you, trying and doing. When I was a kid, we dried gar scales for points. I think you could probably make a decent light armor out of those bad boys if you dried it first and then coated it with something like a epoxy, some sort of clear coating. Yeah, I had no idea. Yep, that's an Amish guy out there limping. They're doing something with a field. He had his white shirt, his black pants, and his suspenders, and his hat, like a black hat with a brim on it. Maybe they just bought this land. I see somebody cleared some trees off a field right there. There must be construction or something, because I have never been on this road before, but it's taken me to another road that I know I have to get on. I have not tried it. They make small arrowheads and 4 tiny bows. Yeah, I can see that. I could see that. Absolutely. Looking at Arkansas and Oklahoma, close to Texas. Nice. According to Papa Pepper, gar is good replacement for shrimp in any recipe, and it's clean to eat. And this thing yielded, 2, 3, maybe 4 pounds, just the 2 fillets. I'm glad it's clean because the people that I did that for will get the benefit of eating that. Gotta look into gars they're trying and doing. They're long. This thing was 3 foot long. Dead man. What's a sign above a piece of property like a farm? Dead man farm? What does that say about the owner of the property? I'm just saying. So anybody having the lambs and the little goats being born? If you have baby goats being born now, that means the doe was bred in the November, December timeframe. They're long, there's a lot of them, and none of the other fishermen want them. Oh yeah, The other thing about that gar, long, skinny nose with lots of teeth, lots of little pointy, sharp teeth that even when the jaw was closed, some of those guys stuck out. And so we had gloves on, and I grabbed the head to cut the head off at the gills, and the teeth were going right through those gloves. So handle with care. If you eat any invasive species of biblically clean fish, there's no catch limit. Good to know. Another source of food that maybe other people don't want. You gotta like it. I hadn't cleaned a fish. I can't tell you the last time I cleaned a fish. I think I cleaned a salmon 25 years ago, maybe something. I mean, we're talking a long time. But if you butcher anything, if you butcher your own chickens or your own livestock, it's a very general process that you just apply to whatever you're cleaning. And it's same with the fish. You know, the physiology of the fish is in general the same as ours. Their fins are like our arms. Their, lower fins are like your legs or your feet. And the gar, you just cut it along the spine, and you're cutting out fillets, like filleting young. It's the muscle on either side of the spine, and it sits above the ribs, so it's really easy to use a fillet knife and just cut along the spine down, and then come up under it from the underside and get it clear of the rib cage. And so the intestines and everything are under the ribs, like they are in a chicken or in us or a beef or anything. And the mouth is attached through to the gut and out the rectum. And so if you're gonna, because with the gar we didn't even have to mess with the intestines or anything, because we could cut the fillets right off the ribs. But if we had to, you just make sure all of that stuff is free from whatever it's attached to, and pull it all out in one long string. And that was going to be my plan, but I didn't even have to bother to do that. Just cut the fillets off, and that was easy, quote unquote easy. I mean, it was physically hard, but it's a simple thing. Tons of fun at Saw. Looked that hoary knife up and don't know why I don't have one already. As long as it has the word homie, not hoary, HOMI, that's the one you want. They may call it hoary also, but make sure the word homie is somewhere in that description, HOMI. Bow fishing for carp, tons of fun. Carp is another one that's like a big fish, really big. At least when I was a kid. I think I told y'all I lived in an area that had a lake, and then downstream of the lake were goldfish breeding ponds. This person was a supplier to pet stores. And then there was a creek that ran out of that, and that's where my friend and I would catch little fish, the bluegills and the catfish and the other game fish. Babies would wash into the creek, and various and sundry kind of juvenile fish. You know what? I'm probably going to stop and get gas. I'm in a town now. Might as well. Why am I saying that? Oh, and carp. And occasionally a carp would be in one of the larger pools of this creek. And that was fun because they were so much larger than all the other fish that we were catching. A lot of times we were catching goldfish and stuff with a fish net, not a fishing pole, but we would catch smaller catfish and smaller bluegill with little teeny hooks on a fishing pole and occasionally a carp, and it would be like boom. And I think the kid I fished with would take the carp home. Like I think they actually ate those carp. All right, I will stop right here. Okay, make sure this does not fall over. Okay. So I'll do the same thing I did last time. I'll just let y'all talk amongst yourselves, and I'll aim this at the rear, and I'll pump the gas. Talk amongst yourselves, amuse yourselves. Probably go in and use the restroom too. Not that I need to, but it's never a bad idea to take advantage of the opportunity when you have it. All right, so let's do this.
Head south on South Buckeye Street toward West 12th Street, then turn left onto West 12th Street.
Ooh, it's warm.
Head east on US 166 East, West 11th Street, toward South Buckeye Street.
right, I'm back. I'm back. I'm gonna have to go across the street. Their restroom was out of order. Yep. I'm gonna have to go across the street because that restroom was out of order. Oh, let's see. Okay. Both these garden tools look like they could double as a defensive
Continue on
tool.
US 166 East for 3 miles.
The one looks just like a sai, and they are sharp. Like
Turn left onto West 12th Street.
I cut right through the dirt with them.
In 600 feet, turn left toward US 166 East, West 11th Street.
And you can see where they got a sai idea from, those gardening tools. And the homie is like, there's a video of the guy who makes them, and he pounds the blade like 1,000 hits with his hammer, so they're really strong. Hang on, I'll be back. Going to the restroom. Oh my goodness, that took way too long. Whew, my gosh. Must be lunchtime-ish. There were like 5, 6 young country boys in there. Every single one of them was getting their lunch. Every one of them had like pizza and a drink, and the computer was going really, really slow. Yeah, grandma time. Nothing like it. I like being the grandma who comes into town and brings goodness. Lots of hugs, lots of good foods, lots of fun times. That's the kind of grandma I like being. With a hard edge every once in a while when somebody gets squirrely. And then it's just like, straighten up. No real drama. None of that threatening, I'm going to spank you stuff if you can just do a, kind of a firm, no, that's not how we do things around here kind of thing. All right, hopefully I'm still on my track. See what my GPS does. Oh, rerouting. Wait a minute.
Continue on US 166 East for 3 miles.
Okay. Back over here. Blessings to you, Dusty. Oh yeah, Dusty has a very interesting story. He is an interesting character. 4-year-old needs grandma. Where is SK going? Have to go to work soon. None of your business. I'm just driving around. Actually, I'm heading back towards Sugar Mountain. I've been gone a long time, and I'm returning. Okay. I'm in town, so I gotta kind of pay attention. Did anybody say anything about lambing or kidding or anything? I guess I'm there's only a couple of us with livestock here in the chat, and I need to know what time it is. What the heck time is it? I guess I have to turn on this stupid screen. It's 10 o'clock, so it's not lunchtime. I'm not going to stop and get any lunch. I don't know what those boys were doing, having pizza at 10 in the morning. Maybe that was their breakfast. Okay. 2.2 miles, turning right. I feel like I've gone around the elbow to get to the knee with this diversion my GPS took me on. I just have to trust that it knows what it's talking about. And that's kind of hard for me. Because GPS is not always right. Sometimes it takes you to the middle of nowhere and says, you've arrived. It's like, I'm in a field. This road ended in a field. I didn't want to come here. What are you talking about? Computers making our life better, right? Yeah. I rarely turn on a computer anymore, a benefit of retirement. It's 11 a.m. Ozarks time. Well, maybe they are doing lunch then. The dirt hands work better with a desktop keyboard. I can still listen on my phone. I just got to go back to the desk to talk. Okay. It is dirty hands time for me. Please pray for my daughter. She's ill. That's why I'm going back up there. Lanes and experienced pest guides are local and native. That is true. Leaving the fishing and preps a daughter in PNW. She has hands-on knowledge. Is it spring turkey season down south yet? I'm sure it is. We don't have any wild turkeys in our immediate AO, but I am sure it is. Places like Georgia, Mississippi. I think I saw sometime on this trip, driving through maybe Kansas, I saw a flock of turkeys. Wild turkeys. Out there gleaning in the cornfields. Okay. computer is a versatile tool, like the most versatile tool I own. It can be a doorstop. I wouldn't be capable of half what I am had I not had a computer my whole life. Well, that's true. Computers can be very useful. They can also be very annoying. Just having to sign in on most web pages and have a password for every single page is super annoying to me. I think somebody should just have an app that'll make up a password for you, and you just scan it onto into the computer or whatever, so you don't even have to hit your keyboard. I think that would be very useful. 1 mile. Eventually I'll get out of this town and get on a highway and be able to make some time. I learn a lot with it. I make money with it. I network with it. There you go. All true benefits of having an interconnected computer system. Oh, excuse me. My phone is the thing that I do most of that stuff on.
In a quarter mile, use the right lane to take the US 166 ramp.
Okie dokes. Bottomland, you gotta love it. Always.
Use the right lane to take the US 166 ramp, then turn right onto US 166 East.
Oh, there's a person walking up the ramp. Because Walmart is off to the right. I'm sure that person's probably heading towards Walmart. And it looks kind of like a homeless guy. He's got a walking stick and a backpack.
Turn right onto US 166 East. Continue on US 166 East for 27 miles.
That Walmart is kind of randomly set off the side of that highway exit, and there's no houses around. But you know what? There'll probably be houses built in the fields near it. As a matter of fact, that field right there looks like someone had cleared a big section. Planning your neighborhood around a Walmart. I think that, yeah, you're the generation where home computers only got affordable and available. PJ probably tells a story. We were in our late 20s when we bought our first home computer, and it quickly became obsolete. All right, let's see what we got. The traffic jams here are usually turkeys in the road. Mrs. Saw does 90% of our desktop tasks. The phone and the ballistic computer is my 90% now. Without Mrs. Saw, I wouldn't do Patreon Power of 2. It's the app. So that's a blessing, I think, for you, that she's computer literate. That's PJ in our household. He's the one, obviously, who's using Patreon. But it's funny because he will shoot all his videos in one take, right? Like if something goes wrong, he does it right. Whereas I've got a little bit of the editing software. Certainly not professional grade, that I can tweak videos if I want to or need to. I notice when I'm editing them, I have a tendency to like get a thought out and then I have a 2-second pause. And so if in the video pause doesn't really serve any purpose, then I can cut out that 2-second pause and shorten the video. And I find that very useful. I really didn't, in my adult, had a need to do like a 20-minute talk all at one time where, briefing in the military, you definitely would have to have that, have a flow, have a plan, have charts, explanations, and everything. I never did. As a mom, it's all fast, fast, fast. One kid wants to blow their nose, the other kid's asking you where the crayons are, the third kid saying, I'm going outside in the backyard now. And so all my stuff is shorter. And that's what happens. That I picture the words I'm saying often like spelled, or picture the concept I'm talking about in my brain, and then look at the camera, talk to you guys, say, hey, what are the comments? And then back up here. So it's like there's pauses. I change my focus often. I use my hands. I'm a totally different speaker than other people who are online. So let's see. Palmetto Paratrooper. I programmed a centipede kind of game on a Commodore 64 when I was 13. Wow. It was already a decade old. To be skilled at editing takes tons of time. I don't even attempt it. I need to start editing videos. Well, there's some programs that come on computers now that are, part of the photo package that have editing features in them. And then I don't know how it was suggested to us, but there's this editing program called Mojave that we downloaded, and I paid for it for life. And if I need to do more minute editing, like some of my videos that have music and the cutouts where it fades to black, or it bursts the screen into little pixels or whatever, that's all on the Mojave. But that is a much longer process. Then they have a mobile app also that I use, that I can do on the phone. It doesn't really, they're not as polished a video when I use them. And Mojave also only has so much music, and then you have to pay for extra. Whereas like the YouTube editing program has a vast array of music to add to your video, but it's a bit harder to chop it up and have music in it on the YouTube editing versus the Mojave makes that pretty easy, but then you're limited. So it's a give and a take, and I'm sure if I paid more money for some kind of editing app, more professional, it would be even easier. But come on, I'm a retired housewife. Like, I really don't feel like getting into the editing that much. I mean, you guys know, as followers of my channel, there might be a whole month where I'm just not feeling making any video at all. And sometimes I fill in the space with shorts or reels, and sometimes I fill in space with lives. I think I have 1,500 videos on my channel or something. I feel like I have covered so many topics. It's not necessary for me to keep going over and over and over stuff. At least I feel that way. Maybe you guys want to see me doing a yearly, here's my baby sheep, here's my baby goat. But I don't think so. So yeah, it's the editing is something I enjoy to tweak and have a little bit of artistic outlay in some of my videos. That's how I see it. Can you guys hear me okay? My voice sounds really nasal to me. I think it's because I have these glasses on. Just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me 5x5, or do I need to talk louder? Computers are definitely a useful skill. This summer I'll go to North Carolina for sea tours for work. Then Mongolia next year. Holy cow, Mongolia, that'll be fascinating. need a proper laptop or better phone for editing. Well, this is just I won't say totally cheap, but it's a pretty mid-grade Android. And the Mojave download, Adobe also has I think a mobile download that aren't too expensive. Thanks for the thumbs up. For skills, I need to get into drones and 3D printing for on-the-fly repairs. Yep, and drones, I think, are very natural for video game players to understand drones. We have a brother who's really good with drones. He's got the, what do they call it, virtual screen thing that he uses with his. It's a skill. SK, I love your shorts too. Yes, hearing good. Thank you. I mean, I try to do my shorts to be either informative or comic, funny comedy. And the ASMR I do because they actually get a pretty good amount of views, and there are people who really dig the ASMR for whatever reason. And so I like doing them because they're simple and fast. And the 3 really popular ones I did are me walking on gravel, me walking on leaves, and me walking in the desert. And I've done all those things. I do those things regularly, and other people who have property do those things regularly too. But for people who are like stuck in an apartment, there's some sort of comfort there, or possibly it's a memory thing of walking on leaves. We've all done it at one time, crunch, crunch, crunch. So there's a universality to that experience that I think people enjoy. Yeah, and calming. Yeah, the ones I do with the little streams in the water, that's for calming. I feel that's where I'm at now, kind of a jack of all trades, but master of none. Great for side work, but I need to pick something to specialize in to advance. I'm a jack of all trades too. I think just even time and experience will make you that if you have interest in anything at all. Same with Saul walking in the ice-crusted snow. Exactly. Saul, you got a short on walking in the snow? I love that. I bet you could do you could do a short of like a day at the range and not say anything at all and just do a little planking. And I bet you that would be a popular one too. I don't know if YouTube would post it or not, but you probably do one on Patreon. If you only make an income from one of your skill sets, you will exercise that skill set much more than the rest. True, the more time and experience you have in that skill set, the better you're going to be at it. I work with Catholics a lot, and they always have me working when I'm not doing my normal job. Well, sure, the Catholic Church will use you up. But you know what? If you're a Hebrew, you at least get 1 day rest every week at certain feasts every year. Okay. This town is just the 2 roads. That was it. They have a fish house, Deep South Fish House. What you want to bet they serve catfish in there? The benefits of a passive income allow you the time to have many hobbies. And if you're OCD, it's a perfect lifestyle. Especially homesteading. Because it demands you to know more than one thing, unless you want to pay somebody else to do all sorts of improvements and chores. All right. We just had 3,500 pieces of content. 3,500? You have been cranking them out. Today on Patreon, many are walking, driving, or whiteboard, of course, the dogs too. I've thought about the whiteboard, but my handwriting is not what it used to be these days. And so there were things I thought about. I could do a whiteboard thing about that too. Go ahead, dude. You want to pass? There's a car right there. Just pass. Go for it. There. Make sure you make it safe. He wants to go 80. I'm not going 80. He passed me, and a car was coming, I'd say a couple of 100 yards away. So that's why I just put on the brakes. Give him a more chance to get safely back over and not scare that car at how close he was. Anyway, let's see what we got. Yeah. I've noticed in my channel, the food stuff doesn't really get a lot of views. And it's probably because it's so darn rustic. When people do food videos, the watchers want to see a really nice modern kitchen, totally clean. You wearing some sort of outfit. And normally, in my videos, I'm wearing what I wear every day. Like, I'm not going to go in, take a bath, wash my hair, get out my good clothes, shoot the video, then go back and put on my grubby, work around the place clothes. I don't have time. Literally, I don't have time for like a 3-hour production, which is why you see me with my hair askew and sometimes my hat's askew or my glasses, and my clothes are probably dirty. My fingernails are definitely dirty. In gardening season, they're very clean right now, but they won't be clean again until probably December. I'm going to have the dirty fingernail thing going on. Oh, yeah. I have something else to talk about, my trip. Oh, okay. Not needing to pay your bill, to leave your property to pay your bills also allows you to improve your position on the homestead a lot faster. Yes. Time spent away. Okay. Right. The algorithm loves conflict on YouTube. The best videos, in my opinion, are the rustic and the real. I believe that. Okay, so I want to tell you, I don't think I've made a video about this. I want to tell you about an experience I had on this trip. No false eyelashes. Girl, if I got all dolled up like that, y'all would be stunned by my beauty. All right, I'm just going to say that. I just choose not to use that in my videos. So this is on a totally different tip. This is on the tip of you need to be head on a swivel. And this is a real experience. So I'm going with an individual. She is heavily pregnant and she wants to go shopping at a thrift store. And she warns me that this thrift store is in a bad part of town and there are some odd characters who are going to be in there because it's like a community outreach type. And, I'm all for those sort of things, but she just warned me up front. So we pull into the parking lot and immediately I see a couple of people, zombies as my husband likes to call them, stumbling around this parking lot. And so I assess, all right, that guy, he's talking to himself and he's doing like jerky movements, but he's not looking aggressive. And there's like two of them. And then I see a guy, he's not very big. He's probably 5'3". He is circling the parking lot, and the way he's holding his head to me is like a predator. It's like instantly in my mind, I thought that looks like a coyote, right? He's circling around the parking lot. So I'm like, all right, I'm taking mental note of he's around. And then when we get out of the vehicle, I look at her, I look around, he's not near us. Okay, let's walk inside. And so we go inside this building, and it's big. And she wants to look at furniture. And so we head for the furniture, and I'm checking my SIGs, looking around, noting the people inside who are shopping. There's one or two guys that I'm like, I'm I'm going to make sure I keep my eye on you. They are single guys walking around the store, just kind of loitering almost. And I'm like, all right, I'll just take note. Then there's a couple of different employees doing what the employees do. One of them, if you have to use the restroom, you have to get it. This person has to escort you there, unlock the door. You go to the bathroom, you come back, you check out with them. And there's also the guy who does the furniture. You have to like get a form from him and take it up to the front. And we're looking at the furniture, and I'm keeping my eye on those guys. And then the coyote guy gets in the store, and he starts doing that thing. He's like circling around the racks, and he's looking as he's walking. And so I'm like, And meanwhile, this other person is talking and looking at things, and isn't this cute? And I'm interacting with her also. And then I see the coyote guy starts coming down the aisle towards us. So I kind of move her off to the side and watch him, and then he cuts across and he heads towards us again. So now he's like 25 feet away or something. And he's looking at us, and he's looking at her. And so what I do is I kind of push her, and I say, move, move, move. And she's like, what are you doing? Stop pushing me. And I move her behind me, and then I place myself looking at him directly, but I've got my body angled so that my left shoulder is pointing towards him, and I'm giving him that look. Like, And he sort of sees me, and he sort of stops, and I keep my eye on him, and I've got my hand on my bag, and he takes a turn, and then he circles away from us. And the person I'm with is kind of yelling at me, like, why did you just push me? I'm heavily pregnant. You shouldn't be pushing me, and this, that, and the other thing. And so I try to explain to her what's going on, and she's like, well, of course people like that are in here. They're in here all the time, and I've shopped here several times, and I've been fine. And I'm like, that's cool. I'm not going to, rain on your parade, but I'm here right now, and I'm reacting to what I'm seeing. And then so we do some more shopping, we get a piece of furniture and everything, we have to go to the front of the store. And there is a security guard in this thing, and he's talking at the back of the store, and he's about 300 pounds and round, and he's walking slowly to the front. And I'm like, all right, he's here, but if he has to move fast, I don't know that he's going to be capable of that. So we go up and get in line, and there's two women in front of us, and there's a rack of women's clothing to the right of us, and to the left of us is racks of dishes. And I'm talking to my daughter, not my daughter, I'm talking to this person I'm with, and then a group of three of the employees, female employees, come up and kind of get in line or are standing near us. I don't think they're checking out, but they moved in a group to stand near us, and we are in line to check out. And I overhear them saying, oh, golly, that person has 200 goats in that field. I've never seen that many in one field before. Anyway, the employees are saying to each other, yeah, he's kind of creeping me out. He's just walking around with his hand in his pocket, because that's another detail. He had his right hand in his pocket when he was walking around, and he's creeping me out. They're nervous, and they're talking to each other. And I look at the person I'm with, and I'm like, see, it's not just me. And then he starts coming. Here he is on one of his circles. And so the person with me sees him, and there's 3 racks of women's clothes near us. And so this guy, walks into those racks, and he starts touching the dresses, he's looking at them, but he's looking over his shoulder at us. And I did the same thing. I squared up, I put myself between her and him, and I put my hand on my bag, and I gave him another look. Not just no, but F no. You're not coming here. And so he moves up to the front of the racks. So now he's about 10 feet away, and my hand is in my bag. And he looks at me one time, and then he rotates away, and he leaves the building. Meanwhile, the security guard is now standing in the door. We check out. I tell the person I'm with, like, I will go get the car. You stay in here by the security guard, buy our stuff, and I will pull the vehicle up. And then they are going to help us put this furniture in the back of the vehicle. And so that's what we do. She is posted next to this security guard, and I can tell that he's now watching. Like, he's scanning out in the parking lot, and I go get our vehicle, pull it up. They load the furniture. While they're doing that, I'm head on a swivel all around the parking lot. Don't see this person. Get everything ready. Get her in the car first. I look before I get in, and then as we're leaving, I'm also scanning the parking lot and don't see him. And so we leave. And I got yelled at a little bit by the person I was with, but I'm like, I don't care. There's no way in the world that I trusted that individual. And the fact that the other women in that building got a bad vibe from him just affirmed in my mind that I was not overreacting. And I'm here to tell you, there is no way he was going to get anywhere near the person I was with. I would have tackled him. I would have shoved him, whatever. I mean, he was not a big guy, and maybe he moves fast, but it did not matter. He was not going to come any closer to us. So
In half a mile, turn right onto US 166 East, North 11th Street.
turning right. Thank you, Kermo there. I'm 100% convinced I did the right thing there. Just a shorty hair, but built like a dwarf football player.
Take the next right onto US 166 East, North 11th Street.
Okay, situational awareness and hard target image projection for the win. Yeah, like, and then I had to do.
Continue on US 166 East for 23 miles.
I mean, I was always that woman who's just like, oh, whatever, nice to meet you, blah, 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 not really paying attention as a younger woman. But now, homie don't play. So, the other night, like last night or the night, when we were going to dinner, and we met that Hebrew family, we get to the place, and one of my sons-in-law, who has a very cute little blonde daughter, told me, like, it upsets him when he's in public and people will walk up and ignore him and talk to his daughter. She's 4 years old. And I said, absolutely, that's a little weird. And I said, I've been guilty of doing that too, of that sort of behavior. And now in retrospect, I'm like, God, that's not the way I should have handled that. I should have said, your child is a cute little child, or something to the adult, right? So we go into this restaurant, and this older gentleman walks up to one of the children with us, who's like a year and a half old, and touches his head and said, you're a cute little fellow, aren't you? And I was 2 people away, and I gave that guy a hard stare. And I started to say, don't touch the children, when the adult parent there, like, engaged him in conversation. So I'm like, all right, I was that close, right? So at the end of the meal, the family with a lot of little kids goes outside, and I'm in the restroom helping out with some of the girls. And then I pay the ticket, and I go outside, and that man is still standing by this family, and the adults are talking to him. And I gave him another hard look. And he goes, oh, you must be the mama. And I'm just kind of looking at him like, yeah. And he started to shift away from the family around me after I did that, and I followed him. And I turned my body towards him, and I kind of squared up at him. And he kind of said, well, I'm so-and-so, and this is my business right here. And I said, that place right there. And he goes, yes. And then I just looked at him. And he quickly said, okay, well, good night. And he ducked into the business. And I'm like, no man, no grown man, let me just say grown ass man, needs to be engaging little children in a public area. No. You engage the adult. You don't talk to a little child, especially a grown-ass man. Ugh. Yeah, so that was me last night, being like, I'm not playing the game. I, you're lucky I said 2 words to you, dude. You're lucky I didn't step towards you with my chin up. Mm-mm. But nowadays, really a lot more aware of how pedophilic it could seem. Exactly. Just like with dogs, talk first to the owner and then ask permission to engage the dog to pet. I don't even want to talk to another man's wife directly most of the time, right? It's respect, but it's also the threat factor, especially these days. Don't be touching a child, dude. That's not your kid. That's very presumptuous. Never underestimate a highly motivated small person. Oh, okay. I see your comments. Yeah. Yeah. I just thought his behavior was weird and inappropriate. All right, we're in the bottoms, and these trees look, like I said, they look like an orchard. They're evenly spaced, and they're even watering them. I will bet you they're walnuts or almonds or something. Somebody put in a lot of time and effort. All those trees. It's hundreds of trees. Pecans, some. No hair sniffers allowed near the grandkids, right? Or people trying to command my dogs. Exactly. When I rented the car, there were 2 women in this tiny little office. And I stood outside and I said, "Are you waiting to rent a car?" And they said, "Yeah." And I said, "I'll just sit down outside." They have chairs outside the office and inside. I said, it's kind of weird. We Americans, we want our 6 foot, like, and they said, "Oh, no, it's fine. You can come in and sit down." But yeah, if they had not said that, I would have sat out there because we like our space. We like our elbow room. If you have to learn to be suspicious of people the hard way, it's going to be a tough road to hoe. That's exactly right. You do not want to be a victim. Best to learn from others' mistakes. Or they're good, or they're, what do you call it? Good lessons too. Learn from both. Trying to do it. When the plumber came, I would step outside my front door, sit and wait when hubby wasn't home. No way was I going to be inside at the same time as any man. The one time our Doberman Pinscher almost bit somebody. I think I was home in our quarters alone. It was a ranch-style house with a main hallway, and we had maybe the landlord had called for someone to do some kind of repair. So I'm home with my dog. Him at the door, holding the collar and telling him, I'll make sure or whatever. Big guy. He doesn't really say anything. And I said, "Just let me know when you're coming in and out, and I'll throw him in the backyard." He didn't. He just went out to get tools and walked back in the house. And he did it one time. And the Doberman lunged at his elbow, and you could hear his teeth click together right behind this guy's elbow. Right? After that, the guy let me know when he was coming in and out so I could put the dog out. Because it's you absolutely have to be aware. You have to be defensive. You have to be on your guard, especially when you're a young woman. My favorite question from a stranger: does your dog bite? Yes, on command. He's a real dog. That's right. Only when I tell him to. So I'm seeing these really green fields out the window. See if I can rotate you and not lose you. Really nice looking field. The people that I stayed with, they took me on a little tour. They have paid attention to this Joel Salatin methodology, and so they've been incorporating it. They have several different species of animals, and they rotate them on properties to clear weeds and stuff. And so they took me to like 3 or 4 of the fields they've been doing that with, and you could literally see the line between where their animals had been and where, like, the next door neighbors. Wow, that guy's built one of those barn sheds. Love it. Where their next door neighbors, like, front yard grass was. Literally, there was a line. And this is what they said: the monoculture fields look a certain way, but the multiple species fields that they had worked on had 2 to 3 inches of very healthy looking grass and oat hay, because they had fed their animals oat hay that comes with the seeds in the bale, and so it had planted oats in those fields, as well as the animals eating down the various and sundry different weeds and doing their different things with manure, had fertilized the grasses. And those fields that they did that in looked like the ones that I just saw over there that were probably fertilized. 2 to 3 inches of very healthy looking green grass. And then they drove me around their town, and they said that field is horses only. And the horse only field had all the grass eaten down very short and a ton of the curly dock weeds growing up. And the horse was obviously not eating them because there was a ton of the curly dock, which sheep and goats will eat. And so that was the monoculture horse field. Then they took me to a monoculture cow field. And the cow field, same thing, grass eaten down really low, and some of those edible weeds really big. Cattle are obviously not eating them, and they're out of control. So I was 100% convinced just by them showing that difference. Every field that their multi-species rotating animals had been on looked healthy and green with none of those really tall, nasty weeds. Totally convinced me. Gotta work, stay safe. You too. It's pretty simple to absorb the way Yah raises plants and animals. I don't know why people think they can do better. They try to imitate it for sure. And you can have horses, and you can rotate them through fields, and you can mow the field or put a herbicide or weedicide or whatever you want to call on it and get a nice result. But all they have to do is put the animals in a rotation. They put cattle first, then the caprines, and then they put in large birds. And it works great. We had a Dobie, then a Roddy, then an Akita. Nice. Animal rotation is exactly what Yah does. I was complaining about industrial ag. Right. I mean, that's your only, you really don't have a whole lot of more choice, at least in the way I see it. You're either doing the one or the other. Like, I don't know that you can plant plants that will mow weeds for you. They might retard weeds growing, but is that plant also going to end up being some kind of weed? You know what I'm saying here? Mowing, Mobetta, and Moody. The Salatin semester used it for years. Yes, exactly right. Right. See, I give you this beautiful, calming, green background, not a green screen. Real land, real trees, real fencing, even ponds, creeks. I've even crossed over a couple of rivers. Brought to you by showfarmountain.com and an affiliate sister cake, showfarmountain.com. If I could have a pair of oxen or mules or something to pull logs out of the woods or to do some plowing, I would love that. All right. The ungulates are the best mowers, right? And they turn it into something. They either turn the grass into meat or they turn it into milk. I mean, it's hard to argue with that. When we garden, I like to study the plant I pulled to find out what it was doing so I can replace it with something that does similar that I want going there. I started doing that this past year. I did, honestly. It just seemed to make sense. If you're a short, scrubby, spread out plant and you're doing well here, then I should probably plant a short, scrubby, plant that's going to expand outward in that hole because you and that's the same theory that I was talking about with my orchard and putting it where the black locust grows very well. The black locust already has nitrogen in its roots in the soil. And so if I plant an apple tree next to it, the apple tree ought to do pretty well too. Right, I have no idea. I think those are zebu back there. Those cows. Teaching the big pups to pull carts and sleds. Yeah. To want to put a harness on and pull stuff. But absolutely. Teaching the multi-purpose farm dogs they already trim trees. Trim trees in what way? Or are you talking about your ungulates? Cattle, horses, they'll eat trees. You see a pasture with cattle in it, the tree limb level will stop at a certain height because they'll eat the greens. My horse used to eat Osage orange leaves like potato chips. It's another way to clean up an orchard is to have your cattle go in the orchard at the end of the season, eat the rotten fruit on the ground, and trim the leaves. On command, the pups will hit limbs and trees together. Awesome. I think you may have said that before. I should have remembered that little detail. All right, now we're heading towards a little bitty country church. Not unlike the one Pastor used to have up in Kansas. It's got the green roof and the little arched windows. The Cumberland Presbyterian Church used to build those at the late 1800s. So they dotted them all over the country, using their combined body weight to prune the limbs. That's clever. Agreed. And got any questions or comments? How was your Passover, Saul? Did you do like a family Passover? Two-story red farmhouse that was like a family farmhouse. It looked like it had additions on it and was large enough to sleep several people. It's entertaining for the kids to watch me work. Partisan preference agriculture, task stacking, bite work, and permaculture. Exactly, very useful, and they have to attack a larger target. They're already trained to jump and leap. So Palmetto, are you going to do another pepper sauce this year? Yep, still got people here for the whole feast. It's a blessing. Well, that's awesome. That's really neat. I'm glad you get to share it. You know, the non-Shabbat days, you can have extra hands helping you do stuff. Like Brother Cody cutting trees down. I can't tell you how many white plastic trash bags I have seen on this trip, stuck in barbed wire fences. Big ones and small ones, just blowing in the breeze. Oh, that brings me to another point. I did a video a long time ago on the value of the brown paper bag and why I think it's far superior to the little plastic bags, right? And when the little plastic bags, the green movement was pushing, yeah, we need to save the trees. The trees are a reproducing, or however you want to phrase it, resource. So we have to stop cutting down trees to make brown paper bags, and we need to start using these little plastic bags. And someone who is got a sharp sense of humor said, you know, it was green hippie types who pushed it, but probably who were the people behind them funding them was the petroleum companies, right? Because those bags are made from petroleum products. Didn't like the idea then, and this was decades ago. Colorado has gone back to brown paper bags or recyclable bags. They have stopped using, by and large, those plastic bags. And if, you know, of all 50 states, you want to pick some green states, Colorado is one of them. So I find it ironic that the same people who pushed to have the plastic bags are now saying they're bad and taking them away. I just find it ironic. I'm happy about it, but the businesses who provide the paper bags do not give them to you free. They do not have them in a kiosk for you to just, you know, and their clerk bag your stuff in these paper bags. You pay 10 cents a bag for those things. Colorado liberals, yeah, shouldn't be included in the price of what you're buying. No. We want you to pay for the wrapping of the thing that you're buying from us. I guess recyclable bags is a way to get around that, but I must shake my head over some of the things that happen in our society. I turned that on and then I turned it off. Almost time to get some food. That house has those old school metal awnings on it. Those were a great idea. They last a whole lot longer than the canvas ones. Of course, they are obviously more valuable. They are more valuable because you can use those paper bags to store stuff in, and they don't break and rip and fall apart when you're carrying 2 gallons of milk in them. You can make a little costume for a child out of those things. You can do all sorts of stuff with those brown paper bags. But I think it should just be included in the price you pay for the goods you're buying, right? The increased grocery and food prices you pay for those bags. And it's also going to make the forestry industries and paper making industries revitalize if other states follow suit. I reuse them to line the garden after they get beat up. Exactly. They can be a weed deterrent. Of course, they're going to break down, but they'll work at least for one season. Got a slow truck in front of me. Nitrogen refrigerated liquid.
In half a mile, turn right onto the ramp to US 166 East, US 400 East.
Okay. Will do.
Turn right onto the ramp to US 166 East. Continue on US 166 East for 3 miles.
It was cool to see Brother Cody doing his tree work on PJ's Patreon. It's artistry. That man, I know it's not his favorite thing to do anymore, but my gosh, is he good with trees. You just can't help but stand and look in awe. Alright, can we go faster than 55, please? Got places to go, people to see. Have any of you guys heard of River Branch Ministry? Cody is a beast in a tree. Yes, he is. It's like he was born up there. Has anybody heard of River Branch Ministry? Can't say I have. Okay. It's worth a try. You guys are pretty, internet savvy. He sings and plays the guitar good too. Yes, he does. And what I like about Brother Cody is he's pretty ready at the drop of a hat if I say, hey, you want to do some worshipy stuff. Because he kind of got started doing that when he was still in our area.
In half a mile, keep left to stay on US 166 East, US 400 East.
Do what? Half a mile? Turn left. 166 East. Alright. I'm ahead. Pay attention. That's not it. Soon though. Alright.
Keep left to stay on US 166 East.
Oh, we're staying on it. We're not actually turning. Okay. Alright.
Continue on US 166 East for 2 miles.
2 miles. 166 East. Okay. Alright. There's some barn swallows. They like the exits. They like flying around underneath the exits. Here. have some sort of traffic slowdown thing happening here. Be prepared to stop. Oh, joy. Okay, just saying shalom. Okay, and Coco did total on shalom. Wow! Hey, where did you guys go? Okay, I am getting, yes, I am getting instructions from my husband. It is time for me to shut down the live stream. So, you are Holly. Nice. Okay. Holly that I knew before or a brand new Holly? Yeah, so I'm gonna have to shut down the live stream now. It was a pleasure chatting with everyone. I appreciate that you guys hung in there with me as I, traveled these long roads. And I am going to see you guys. Yes. Thank you. Bless you all. I will see you on the next slide. Shalom. Oh, I didn't turn it off yet. Oh, it always works that way. My thumbs are so dry. Here we go. Come on. Turn it off. It doesn't register. There we go.